everybody, Morgan with Event Answer here, and today I'm going to share with you how to put together a hot chocolate bar. I love the versatility of this element that you can add to a party, so whether you've got a small intimate gathering with friends or you're doing this for a party for a couple hundred people, this kind of thing can scale really easily and can be super custom to what you're wanting to accomplish. So whether you're doing a baby shower, a birthday party, a holiday party, or even just a gathering of friends, let me show you how I put this together and how you can make it custom to fit your own party. The first thing I want to talk to you about is the size of the bar, and it's really important. Most people think of setting up a 6-foot or 8-foot table for something like this, but with a hot chocolate bar, you want everything to be really compact because that's what's going to make it look full and textured, because you want to add height and depth to your table. You don't want it to be spread out all on a huge table because it's going to look really puny. So today I've got a 4-foot by 2-foot table set up here, which is equivalent to one of those 4-foot plastic folding tables. But if you have a bar or a bar cart or a kitchen island, those look really good with a setup like this. To start decorating this table, I'm going to make a hot chocolate banner that's going to go across the back of the bar here. And I've made a set of printables which you can use for this project as well. So check out the description box below if you'd like to make these as well. I started off by downloading the PDF template and I printed it off on my home printer on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. So for my setup, I'm using it in craft color, but you could absolutely do this in any color you like. And then once everything is printed, I'm just going to go along and cut out each piece, and I'm making sure that I'm cutting inside the line because I don't want that light gray line to show up on the very edge of the pieces. So I'm just going to cut inside that, and then I'm ready for assembly. Each word is going to be on an individual piece of string. So lay out the word and then flip them over, keeping them in order, and then lay them so that they're exactly the same distance apart from each other, because we're going to tape these in place and that distance is going to matter. So my table is 4 feet wide, and I'm going to cut a 6-foot piece of string here just so it's long enough to stretch the whole table and have a little extra. Now you could hole punch these. I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to tape them in place. So a 1/2 inch down from the top of each card, I'm going to tape on the back side that string in place. I'm using masking tape so you can see what I'm doing here, but you can use any kind of tape that suits your purpose. The back of my table is facing a wall, so the back of this doesn't really matter to me, but if your table is going to be seen from all sides, you may want to go with a clear tape. And I just repeated these steps on all 3 strands for each word. Now you could easily tape these banners to the wall behind your table, but if you're not against the wall, what I'm going to do is take a dowel rod and an 8-inch glass vase here, and I'm going to angle the dowel rods out, and I'm going to tape the dowel rod to the edge of the vase using a decent long piece of clear packaging tape. You could also fill these vases with something heavy like stones or beans or something, because the weight of the banner is going to pull those dowel rods in, so you need to make sure that they're secured and they won't flop over. And now it's time to hang the banners. So what I found worked best was to stand right in front of the banner and even it out and kind of gauge where the banner needs to be hung and where the string needs to be attached at the top of the banner. This would be really easy if you had someone to help you spot and tell you where it needs to be so it looks even. But I just gauged where it was, held one end in place, and secured it temporarily with tape. And then I came over to the other side, making sure that my banner was even, and attached that side with tape as well. The important thing is to step back and take a look at it and make sure that it's even from the front. So once I was happy with the placement of the banner, I just attached each string with a little bit of hot glue and repeated this for each word on the banner. So once I had all 3 of them in place, I went back and trimmed off all of the loose ends of the strings and left one of them long. And what I did was wrap it really tightly around the top of the dowel rod and hot glued it in place. And this is going to give it a nice finished look and hid all of the loose tails from all of the other strings. Now that the backdrop's up, let's start talking hot chocolate. In my mind, there's 2 different ways to serve hot chocolate. There's pre-made where ahead of time you've either used a powder and mixed it ahead of time, or you have a homemade recipe that you've crock potted for a while to get to a certain consistency, or there's on-demand hot chocolate making where you just have hot water available and then your guests make the hot chocolate from either a powder or chocolate on a spoon and individually make their own cup of hot chocolate. Whichever way you want to go, there's a couple of different containers you should think about. So I'm going to be using this coffee pot here that's never had coffee in it, and I'm going to pre-mix my hot chocolate. The main reason I'm doing that is to reduce the mess. So by making the hot chocolate ahead of time, you don't have as much powder mess that you might have, especially if there's children at the party. It can be a lot of mess making an individual cup of hot chocolate. So I'm gonna go ahead and opt to do mine ahead of time and just put it in this coffee pot and keep it on hot. The one thing is, if you do make your hot chocolate ahead of time, make sure every so often you get in there and you stir it so that you're not accidentally scorching the bottom of your hot chocolate or it's settling. If you decide to do on-demand hot chocolate, there's lots of really beautiful ways to do it. Like I mentioned, you can go with your favorite powder mix, or you can do chocolate that's been melted on the end of a spoon. It's a very elegant way to do it. But whichever you decide to do, make sure you think about that ahead of time. The other thing to think about is, how are you going to serve your hot chocolate? So I've got my coffee pot here, but you can absolutely use a crock pot or an air pot, are both great options. You just need some way to keep the liquid hot while you're setting up and the party is going on. If you do decide to do on-demand hot chocolate, you can even just have an electric tea kettle on the front of your table and just keep that hot, and then people will have hot water ready to go for their hot chocolate. So whichever method you decide to do, the one thing you want to think about once you've made that decision is, how are people going to fill their cups? So I have a coffee pot here, but the one thing about these coffee pots is they're never tall enough up off the table to get a cup underneath. So let me show. I'm going to be using these paper cups here, and they don't really fit under. I would basically have to tip the cup to make it fit under there. So what I'm gonna do is raise my coffee pot up on a box. But to disguise that box, I'm going to be using, this is just a piece of fabric that's got a little fringe cut into the end in a coordinating fabric. So I'm going to put my coffee pot on the end of this table here. So I'm gonna set my box towards the back, and then take my piece of fabric and I'm going to angle it down across the table so that the point comes outwards, and then I'm just going to disguise that box and push the fabric down so that I've got room for other items on the table. So once I've got that in place, I can go ahead and put my crock pot or hot pot or whatever you're using back in place, and now the pot is high enough that it's easy to go ahead and get a cup underneath and serve yourself. The one thing though, with any kind of dispenser like this that has a spout, they always drip. No matter how careful you are, no matter how quality your dispenser is, there's going to be a water puddle underneath of it on the table. So to help prevent that, I actually have this silicone hot pad that I really love because it's got this honeycomb pattern in it, which catches just enough water to keep it from getting on the table. Now, if a whole cup spills, this isn't going to stop it, but it's enough to keep the drippage under control. It's in a neutral black, and it's easy to put on the table and catch those little bit of drips. Let's talk about cups for a moment. So for my party, I'm wanting to use paper cups. But you can also use your own ceramic cups. So if it's a small and intimate gathering of a dozen or maybe even 2 dozen, depending on how many dishes you want to clean, you could absolutely go for a ceramic mug. This is a really warm and comforting piece. You can even make these as giveaways and gifts for your guests. You can get holiday ones or individually designed ones, but this is a lovely thing if you've got a small gathering. But if you have a larger gathering, I really like paper cups. It's simple, white, that has a lid option to reduce spillage options later, and I love the cardboard sleeve. I think this looks so cute. I want to have my cups right next to my beverage dispenser, and whether that's a ceramic mug or a stack of the disposable cups, and that way people can move down the table as they get their drink and add their accoutrements later. Hot chocolate bars can be both fall or winter themed, and I love that versatility about this. So I had a fall themed wedding and did a hot chocolate bar similar to this, and it was a wonderful hit. But you can mix it up depending on how you decide to decorate your table. So today I'm going to be using some greenery with some pine cones and lights in the background, which will give it a winter or Christmas feel, but you could absolutely put some pumpkins or fall leaves on this table and take it in a fall direction. Now I'm ready to start putting all the little accoutrements on the table for my hot chocolate bar. But the one thing to keep in mind is making sure that there's enough room at the front of the table for guests to set their cup down while they're putting more pieces in it or decorating it or filling it up. You don't want people to try and hold this and scoop it in, especially if there's children at the party. You want to make sure that there's plenty of room at the front of the table to set the cups down without interfering with all of the little bits we're going to be adding to the hot chocolate. So once you've got that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and start at the back of my table and work to the front. And it's always important to remember to have height and depth to any of your tables. So like we mentioned at the very beginning, how we wanted this to be small and compact because that makes it look really full. Now we're going to put that in place. At the back of my table, I'm going to have a little bit of height. So I have these 3-compartment little containers, and they have my stir sticks, some peppermint sticks, and some pirouettes. And that's what I'm going to have as stirrers for my cups. These also had some really great height to the backdrop. So I'm going to go ahead and get these put in. And it's always good to have extras back in the kitchen or behind a door, just so you can restock as needed. So I'm going to take this little 3-compartment and put it at the back on its side, because that's where I'm going to keep my hazelnut syrup and the caramel drizzle. So let me show you how to wrap these so that they all look really consistent. Everything I have on the table that's in a bottle, I decided to cover in vinyl. So what I'm doing is lining up each individual bottle and cutting the vinyl into strips that will cover the labels of each bottle. And this will give it a nice cohesive look with everything on the table. So what I did was fold back the first little bit of the vinyl, and you want to make sure that you get this on the bottle square. If it gets crooked, it'll misalign by the time you get to the other side of the bottle. So take your time, get it on straight, and then rub out the air bubbles and attach it as you go. So gently pull a little bit on the paper, rubbing up and down the length of the vinyl to get it attached. And then once you reach the end, just take an X-Acto blade and cut it clean. I decided to use vinyl on this project primarily because of the whipped cream container. I knew it would sweat in a warm room, so instead of putting paper on this and having it get soggy, I just decided to cover everything in vinyl. So here's the whipped cream container, and it has a curve at the top, and to help the vinyl wrap around that curve, I'm just making scores about 1 inch long and then rubbing it flat to make it fit. The template set I made that has the banner also has these cute tags included in it. So I'm going to use a 2-inch or a 2.5-inch hole punch here. I'm just going to circle punch each of those tags free and then use a small hole punch and put a tiny hole in it so I can attach it with string. But I also made this so it'll fit an Avery 22808 sticker. So if you wanted to do stickers on this, you could absolutely do that with the templates as well. So I'm just taking a little bit of colored twine here and I'm wrapping it around each bottle a couple times. And on the back side, I'm just going to put one tiny dot of hot glue, and that will help the string stay in place and not shimmy down the bottle. So once that's on, I'm going to go ahead and attach my tag. And I've got these tags for every item on the table so that everything is clearly labeled and people know what they're picking up. I'm just going to tie that off with a little bow. Now that everything's wrapped, including my whipped cream, I'm gonna go ahead and put them all at the back of the table. Now, the whipped cream can be out for a little while, but if you have a party that's going to be long in duration, you may want to go ahead and get a bowl of ice to stick the whipped cream in, just so it stays nice and cold. Now I'm going to go ahead and put on the table things that go inside the cup. So a lot of times you'll see chocolate bits or candy canes or all kinds of different lists. But one thing to think about is the audience of your party. So if you're having a party that's geared towards families and lots of children available, you're gonna have different items in that on the table compared to if it's an adult-only party. So for an adult party, you might have higher end chocolates or really nice cookies on the table, or go the extra step to have nice things, or put things on the table that can spike your hot chocolate. So here are a list of adult things, and here's a list of kids things that I would tend to put on a hot chocolate table for this event. So you can absolutely go ahead and just do regular chocolate chips. I see that a lot of times for a hot chocolate bar, but I like to take mine to the next level, especially if this is a party geared for adults. And so what I've done is I've taken chocolate bars, so a really high-end dark chocolate, a white chocolate, and a milk chocolate, and I've shaved it into shards and curls because A, this melts a lot quicker into the hot chocolate cup, but you can also decorate the top of your hot chocolate really beautifully with these shavings and curls compared to just chocolate chips. A party wouldn't be complete without a bag of marshmallows. I'm just gonna go ahead and do a bag of regular mini marshmallows here for my party. I also have cinnamon and sea salt on the table, so I could do a salted caramel hot chocolate cup, or if I wanted, I can add a little bit of cinnamon. Now I've gone ahead and decided to do cinnamon powder. So many times I see cinnamon sticks in hot chocolate bars, but to me, I don't want to touch the cinnamon sticks because then it's on my fingers, and I don't feel like I can really control the flavor in the hot chocolate with the cinnamon sticks. But I felt like with the powdered cinnamon, I can do that and put as much on as I want or as little as I want. So I've gone ahead and just done powdered cinnamon for my party. The next thing I want to talk about is utensils. So I see all these cute wooden spoons and scoops and things in craft stores, but some of them aren't really designed to be very practical, or they don't work for every little thing. So I've got some wooden scoops here, but these are actually going to work really well with the shaved bits of chocolate, but they're not going to work well for the marshmallows. So just make sure you're really thinking through your serving utensils so it's easy for your guests to be able to serve themselves. So I'm just going to put the little wooden scoops in each of my chocolates here. And then for the marshmallows, I actually found this really cute pair of mini tongs, which I think will make it really easy to pick up marshmallows and put them in the drink. And that's all it takes to put together a hot chocolate table. I hope you've enjoyed this project and give it a try at your next party. So whether it's a small, intimate gathering of friends, or you've got a couple hundred people coming to an event, this can scale super well and it can be really customizable to whatever you want to serve. So I hope you'll give this a try. Let me know if you do. I'd love to hear about what you like to put on your table and how it went at your party. So give this video a like, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!